All right, I think we should be good.
I got the notification, so we're all good. So, Doug, do we start with you?
Yep. Can you hear me, JB?
I can.
Okay. Alabama. Arkansas.
Brett Leach.
Illinois, Doug McLean. Indiana.
Adam Phelps.
Iowa.
Warren Jones.
Kentucky.
John Bridges.
Louisiana.
Jason Olzak.
Manitoba. Michigan.
Callie Rush.
Minnesota.
Nate Huck.
Mississippi.
Houston Havens.
Missouri.
Reed V. Goot.
Ohio. Ontario.
Brad Brook.
Saskatchewan. Tennessee. Gotcha, Jamie.
Yeah, sorry.
Wisconsin.
Taylor Finger.
Canadian Wildlife Service. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Dave Scott.
Bird Banding Laboratory. USDA APHIS Wildlife Services. USGS. All set.
Okay, sounds good. Taylor, do you have the?
Yep.
I was just trying to see the agenda.
Next. Go ahead.
I was going to say it is not. There we go. Okay, finally, I was having trouble getting it to open. Somehow going from Outlook to my things. So, Doug, are you going to talk about the treasurer's report?
For sure. Yeah, I sent this out to everybody last week. If you have questions, let me know. We just had a few expenses, or I guess we didn't have any expenses prior to the winter meeting. Everything's reflected in there. Ended up with a profit of almost $300, and I'll put an asterisk on that. Functionally, that's what it is. I talked to David Haney, and apparently the metal cups that we got were charged to some random division within Tennessee Wildlife. So thanks to them for covering that cost. He thought it would be too big of an ordeal to actually try to rectify that. So that saved us from going in the hole on the meeting. So thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Joe, for us, I guess, for paying that. So we were
I think it was our communications division actually that paid for it.
We'll thank them for us. So it was about $300 to the good for the winter meeting. You'll see some weird stuff in there with that the hotel did. They basically charged us a much higher amount to make sure they got all their money, and then they refunded us a portion of it that we didn't incur up to that. So you'll see a weird almost $8,000 refund from the hotel in there as well. Outside of that, like I said, so based on that, our account balance right now is almost identical to what it was going into the meeting. So just over $21,000 right now. So anybody have questions about it?
Doesn't sound like it, Doug.
Do you need a motion to approve it?
I think we should, right?
Wisconsin makes the motion.
Seconded. Indiana.
All right, here, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Jamie, did you need more time for treasurer stuff, or was that what you were thinking?
No, that's not what I was thinking. Yeah, if this is an appropriate place for it, I'd be happy to talk about it now, or if you want to wait until the end.
I think it seems like appropriate time. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of hoping there was a couple of other folks on here. Like I was hoping Frank would be on here, but um, so I got an email from Frank. Some of you know this, some of you don't know this, because you are or are not a project um, coordinator for whatever projects we have. But I've got the accounting system to set up and send out monthly budget reports to all those project managers, and Frank gets one for Arctic Goose population monitoring. I think Warren gets that. I think Jason gets it. Maybe Warren doesn't get it, but Jason Olzak gets it. Jillian gets it. Rod gets it. But so Frank was looking at his report, and he said, "Hey, look, he goes, help me understand this. I've got it shows that everybody has paid their assessments for this, but the balance that I'm seeing does not equal what I think it's supposed to mean." And I was like, yeah, that's what it looks like to me, but I don't understand this. So let me talk to the accountant. I talked to the accountant, and this might end up having a fairly decent impact on some of the budgets. Apparently, the way it has always been set up is that the reports will generate as accrual reports. So basically, it shows the money you're supposed to be getting, like through what's called the pledges, which is your invoice. Now, in some years, some agencies haven't been able to make their payments, right? So so the report that you're getting shows you what your budget should be if everybody had made their payments. Oh, good. Rod's on here. I'm sorry, Rod. I missed you before, but yeah, this is going to be important for you to hear. So the reports are showing you what you should have if everybody made their payments. It doesn't show you what we actually have. So like when Frank was asking, like, hey, it looks like everybody paid. Well, yeah, because in the sort of in the revenue column, it shows everybody who is responsible for providing a payment, but it doesn't reflect what they've actually paid. So like, I'm not picking on you, Brett, but like Brett, Arkansas hasn't, their payments haven't come in yet, right? So that's a pretty substantial amount that would go to Arctic Goose population monitoring that's not showing up, that is not showing up as actual cash in hand. So I had no idea about this. The accountant had to explain all this to me this morning when she was looking at it. And so what is probably going to happen from here on out is I'm going to change the way our system looks at things and have it show cash, because that will show you what you actually have and not what you are supposed to have. I'm assuming, Rod, I'm going to ask you, because I know you're one that looks at the budgets quite a bit. That's going to be way more informative to you, I'm assuming, to know what you actually have on hand versus what you think you are supposed to have. Like, it's more of a real number, right? So please keep that in mind as you get your new reports that'll come out next month, that your number might look very different, because we have had several years where for one reason or another, a state wasn't able to get their payments in. I mean, it's happened for sure. So that your actual number will definitely go down of what you're supposed to have. And like, yeah, so just, that's really sort of what I wanted to say, because like I'm thinking about how I need to put this in an email. I was hoping that everybody who needed to know would be on here, but not the case. And so, yeah, Rod, go ahead.
Is that just for 1 year or all time?
I believe it's all time. Yeah. So like,
it could be a substantial change.
Yeah. So if somebody didn't pay 4 years ago, it's still showing in your budget that they still should be, like that was a pledge, that was money that was expected, but we never received it. So yeah, like I don't know what it's going to, I don't know how it's going to change things, what it's going to look like, but yeah, it could be fairly substantial. And I don't know how far back this level of accrual goes. Like, does it go back to 2014? I'm not sure of that. So I don't think it would be anything before 2014 is what I think. So, from 2014 on, yeah. JB, I saw your hand went up. You're muted, dude.
All right, sorry. All the dear guys came in next door and decided to have a party right as I started having a meeting. Help me remember. I'm dumb on this. The dues that I'm paying that were due. The bill came out in March or whatever.
Mhm.
Is that paying for Rod's work this summer, or am I paying for Rod's work next summer?
No, it would be for this current year. Yeah. So the payment that you make is a commitment to Rod's work this summer. Yeah.
Okay, so it's very tight then. Basically that you're getting the bill in March and Rod's spending it in April, and I mean pretty quick after that.
Yeah. This year, sorry. Yeah. We're definitely committed to getting the invoices out much earlier next year. Like
Okay.
we're not.
I'm not sure
wait.
if it's March, but it's sometime. It was sometime.
Yeah. I think they came out in like mid to late February,
Okay.
like right around the meeting time is I think when they
Okay.
went out. So yeah, I've been talking with the accountant, and it all had to do with the transition, and then
Right.
some other things. Like we were just like this year really did not go the way I wanted it to treasury wise, but we're hoping that the invoices will all go out much earlier before January. Like we're hoping to get them out in like October.
Can I ask one? I mean, I guess I got an email the other day. We, through my system, and maybe other folks are like it. You send me an invoice. I go through my purchasing process. I
Mhm.
send the invoice to our purchasing people, and then I have no idea
Yeah.
whether it comes or goes, or I assume that they pay it, but I may not have paid, and I don't know from you or from them or whatever. Is there a way that we can make sure that that at least at some point, if by X date your agency hasn't been received, that you can let us know?
Yeah.
Because I guess our non-game guy said that there was some problem with our Southern Wings payment, and so I still have no idea that if our payment went through, our whole thing went through or not.
Yeah, yes. I actually talked with the accountant this morning about that, and we can set up automatic reminders after we send them out for those that we don't receive to send another one. So yeah, we're gonna put that in place for next year. So that way, at least you guys have some idea whether or not we've actually received it. So we want to get ahead of these things and not me like in May going, oh, hey, maybe let me check and see who's got what, because I don't want anybody getting jammed up at the end of their fiscal, because I know a bunch of you have fiscals that end in June, and now we're, like everybody's getting ready to run on a tight fiscal schedule, and things needed to be submitted by this day and whatnot. So like that's what got me going through there and sending you the email, JB, saying, hey, I don't think we got your payments yet. So, yeah.
So you
but
sent me the okay.
Yeah.
That's,
yes,
okay.
Yes, I did send you something. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, also,
I'm sorry,
I
forget that every email from you goes to my trash folder for some reason, so I've got to somehow figure out why that is. But okay.
Why do I feel like that is now going to end up in the squirrel for sure? Like, yeah. All right, JB. Well, then you know what I'll do? I'll just start emailing this stuff for you to Kylie. How's that?
Okay, that's good.
That's probably the better idea anyways.
I ran into the same thing, JB, thinking that everything was paid, and then our people yelled at us because we switched accountants and they had a different address, and somebody lost their minds over. We had to redo a bunch of paperwork because the address that the PO was for is no longer the address we're currently using, and so.
Yeah, that's a lot of issue that I have been dealing with since the invoices went out, is having to do new contracts, having to do new points of contact within purchasing systems. It's been a nightmare, a little bit of a nightmare, but I think we're through most of it, hopefully. So anyway.
Okay, I see it now. Yep, you're definitely in the junk folder. Okay, sorry.
All right, well, that's good to know.
Rod, I have to send Rod emails via his personal email because somehow it doesn't like me. His system doesn't like, so it's joys of government computers.
Right. Well, so if anybody has any questions on the first thing I talked about with the accruals versus the cash reports and what, feel free to contact me directly. We don't need to take up a whole bunch more time on this, but Rod, just know that I'm going to get this information to Frank and Jillian and some other folks, and basically everybody who's got their name on as a project manager for if you've been receiving the reports, you'll get an email explaining why your reports might look different next year or next month. So, but feel free to give me a call if you need to.
One more thing, Jamie. I guess I'll catch up with you later. I just want to see the address thing. Sounds like a very possible problem for me too. Okay. Because it was sent to our invoice folks 2 months ago, so I don't. Yeah, you should have had it. Okay. Yeah, and that may be an issue. Yeah, Olzak, say your hand going up because I know that we might have had an issue with your payment too.
Yeah, well, it's actually not about us specifically, but in the spreadsheet, there's a column that shows type. Some of the entries are pledge and some of them are deposits. So can we, by eliminating pledges, calculate what's actually available based on a deposit type?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look at the report a little bit more, and maybe I might have to ask the accountant. I'm not sure. I will probably just go ahead and generate new reports for everybody and send them back out right away. Maybe I don't know what I'll do. If you really need to know like Rod, you probably need to know the amount. Frank needs to know it. I'll run real numbers and get those to you guys. Like some of the other ones I might not do, but those of the Canadian projects that are getting ready to go into the field seasons, I'll rerun those reports and send those to you so that way you know real numbers that going into the season. How's that? That probably makes the best sense. So sorry, Jason, I didn't know how to answer your question, but yeah, because I'm not seeing on my copy of my report where it says deposit. So, and I don't want to take up a ton of time here because we got a long agenda. So we can probably talk offline.
One quick question: is it 5,000 Linbar Drive?
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, we've moved from there. So
okay, because the invoice I have from. Oh, okay. Well, that's the weird day. Okay, maybe I found last year's. Okay. Anyway, I'll check it. I'll figure it out. I'm sorry.
Okay, and we can talk offline, JB.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And with that, I'll yield back to my time.
I think next we have update from Fish and Wildlife Service, Canadian Wildlife Service. We don't have anybody from CWS. So Dave.
I was going to say, Jamie, you didn't have any time and you used all mine. So I assume
you're
that
welcome.
when we get to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, you're going to bring continuing education certificates, 1 hour government accounting from the University of Tennessee for everybody that participated.
Yeah. Yes, I will do that. I'm writing that note down right now.
Yeah, that was enlightening, sir. All right. I have a number of items to bring everybody up to speed on. In terms of surveys, it's obviously May and the surveys are underway. They've been going well. I think they're starting to run into a little bit of weather delays now. We did not have a update this week. We have the Mike Bird leadership team meeting offsite, and Conniff and others are in the field, so I haven't got the most recent update, but things are going well. 2 weeks to go. On the hunt rule, the second round of pass back to OIRA, we got that back from them about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we prepared the responses to their comments last week, and that has got back to them early this week. Todd told me that we accepted all their suggestions. I think there were 4 primary things that they had identified. So we're hoping that because we accepted everything, that they'll pretty much put a wrap on it, but it's taken forever, so who knows? I will let you know if I hear anything, but I think we're at the point of getting close to being done with OIRA on the rule that is the proposed and final one, not the direct to final. The direct to final version is also working its way through our internal system in case we have to go that way, but still hopeful that we won't, but we need to get going quickly. I talked to JB about this the other day, but last week I communicated to council regarding the season selection document that we publish in the Federal Register. We talked about this a couple of years ago as we were dealing with this new policy memo process. And I asked the states here in the Mississippi Flyway if there was going to be any issue for them for enforcing their migratory game bird rules without having their seasons published in the season selection document. There are a number of Atlantic Flyway states that were having issues. New Jersey's always a problem. A few other ones like that. In the past, I had talked to Mitch Marcus when he was still with Indiana, and they had some concern. They were the only state that had identified anything. So I followed up with Brad Feaster last week and Lene, and I know they're in the process of making some adjustments right now to their rules. They have not finalized yet, but my communication to council was basically to remind everybody that we'd had that conversation. We are getting pretty close to hopefully publishing this policy memo process, and wanted to make sure that everybody was still good with moving forward if we didn't publish in the season selection document in the Federal Register. And at some point we may be still publishing some states for a few years on our website, but that was that communication that you may have heard about. So far I got thumbs up from the states that responded, like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Alabama, Indiana's still working on theirs. So the other thing we had is earlier we had the SRC, and appreciate Nate being on there, talk about phase two-tier. And everything that we proposed, basically everything passed, was supported. I would say related to two-tier, there were some questions. There's not really a decision made, but they agreed in principle to moving forward. They wanted all the actual details once the flyways and the states had decided who's going to participate, and they'll make that big decision in the fall. But everything's moving forward. So that's a short and sweet. And I will say that I saw the transcript from SRC, and I'd like to remove Jerome's remarks that he made because I had technical difficulty and I wasn't able to communicate, even though the lips were moving. But we blamed that on PNNL, who's hosting the meeting, and they did not open up the chat or the website a half hour early like they're supposed to, so we can all test. So I had to get off and reboot. But anyhow, that's my update. I can answer any questions y'all might have. Houston.
Hey, not necessarily for you, Dave, but maybe for the states, just to be sure that I'm clear as far as, I think the email you sent to council talked about official publication of season dates. And I'm curious what that process looks like for states on their side. Is that administrative rule, making it official through administrative rule, or what?
Well, that's what the states do, right? They do your season selection, and then you go through your administrative rule process with your commissions and councils. And, it points to 20 CFR or 50 CFR 20, whatever. It can point to the policy memo. That will be on our website. We'll have a notice of availability that's in the Federal Register for that, but we won't actually, the plan is not to actually publish in the Federal Register every state season selection with the dates and all that. And that's what we had communicated a couple of years ago, and it looks like everybody's saying, yeah, we have our own process, we're good, with the possible exception of Indiana and this flyway. I just wanted to remind them of that, and I had some details from Todd that I could share with them so they could share with their legal folks just to make sure, but everybody seems so far to be good with it. Any other comments on that or questions?
Well, JB, our next topic was season setting policy memo, and I think Dave probably gave us as much of an update on that as we're probably
Yeah.
going to get.
We're still hopeful that we're going to do the proposed to final version with the 60-day comment period. But it's got to get out really quick. We had some hope that now we have holiday on Monday, so that maybe if ORIWA says, great, you accepted everything we suggested, that we'll get a publication date, could be next week, but don't bet on it.
So, Dave, I guess at the SRC meeting that they kind of indicated we had a week or so to go, and then it wouldn't be possible to do it without direct to final. Well, that was 3 weeks ago, but they still think it's possible.
Apparently. It's like government accounting, according to Jamie.
All right, any other questions?
I will say that Jerome and Eric and others are kind of sequestered at that Mike Bird leadership team meeting at NCTC, so I haven't been able to communicate with them directly to get an update, but I've talked to Todd earlier this week, and I think with things going back to ORIRA, with us accepting everything, that there's a possibility that if we can do the proposed and final, if we can publish, next week, which is basically the end of the month, then we'll do our best. And if not, that direct to final becomes much more likely. And as soon as I know more, I'll let you guys know.
Just one more time. I know you probably just said this. 30-day comment period?
It's 60.
60.
Unless
June
the
1st.
solicitor will give us a shorter, permission to do a shorter one, but because it's a significant rule, we normally do 60.
So, okay. And how long does Omira or whatever have to look at it post public comment period?
I don't know. They'll be involved, but right now, it's down to the wire, JB, as you know, with very little time in between getting everything published and having time to actually publish the memo, which all that needs to happen by September 1.
So if just out of curiosity, I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you, Dave. I'm just thinking about these things. Say it publishes
June 1st.
June
60
1st.
days is August 1st.
Okay, and so there's a substantial amount of public comments. You guys start working
We
through
got to
them.
turn that around and put it out as a final, address all those comments, run it through the whole freaking system, and get that out, and then publish the policy memo in less than 30 days. So you know how that looks.
Yeah. And say it doesn't get published in the less than 30 days. Do we all just go hunting on September 1st and not worry about what the service is doing, or what happens?
But that's not my professional advice. It'll all be okay, trust me.
Sorry, Dave. Thank you. Any other
Yes, sir.
questions? I think it's a pretty big topic for us and not something we can really do anything about.
Nope, I wish I had more, but it's where we are. Nesvik wants it to happen, so I don't know when somebody's going to start using political capital to make things happen, but we'll see.
Political capital can't change the 60-day period. So that's the hard part. If you had a 30-day comment period, then you could feel good about it. But anyway, I'll shut up. All right, Taylor. Dave gave a little bit of update on spring breeding. What you mentioned? You want to give some more too?
Are we good? SRC, we covered everything we wanted to on the SRC update. Is there anything else that anybody needed to cover? Are we good?
Yeah, unless you got a comment, the SCOPS closure stuff went through, and we didn't really have anything of significance other than talking about 2-tier, and phase 2 is really the decision. They got the green light to keep moving, but that's a fall decision.
Hey, Dave, I guess question for you. In the 2-tier, the 2-tier experiment would be implemented beginning with the 27-28 season, right?
Correct.
So how does the new locked into place 3-year thing tie into the 2-tier? Does that stop?
It doesn't. It doesn't matter because we got NSVIC to agree that we can make changes if necessary that are by our strategies up and down, and they'll add the 2-tier in. We've almost had no years where we haven't had to publish a change. So even though they would like to be locked in for 3 years, we almost always have some kind of change. So I don't see it being an issue for having phase 2 of 2-tier.
So again, just this. So what you know, if we've got this 3-year thing in place, if Taylor shows up next year and wants to have a sandhill crane season, we can put that in, or does he have to wait for 3 years?
Taylor's not going to show up next year asking for that, but if he does, I think we can accommodate it.
All right.
What about Adam? What about Adam? What if he wants one? Because I know he does.
He is ignoring you.
We won't do it for Adam.
Come on, Adam, jump in.
Okay.
I don't recommend it either.
All right. I'm sorry. Enough beating that horse. Okay. Spring breeding survey, Taylor.
Yeah, I just kind of preface with Nate and Callie just to give a quick update, just because I think we're the ones in the flyway that are doing spring surveys. I can jump in. Wisconsin, we did ours the last week of April and the first week of May. That's pretty average for us. It's a little bit later than the last 3 or 4 years because we've had really mild winters and haven't had much, but this year, I think, as I was kind of highlighting before the meeting started, the southern half of the state was 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the northern half of the state. And so while people were mowing their lawns and it was 70 to 80 degree weather in the south, it was still snowing and ice on lakes in northern Wisconsin. And so it made it tough to try to coordinate, a 2-week survey to capture mallard breeding numbers. And so either way, all in all, I think it went well. Wisconsin is wet, very wet, like historical wet in terms of what it was going into the spring survey. I think we had, 15 inches of rain in about 10, 12 days. So much of the state looked in really good shape, but it hasn't really rained in about a week and a half here. So it's been all or nothing. But Callie, you want to give an update from Michigan?
Yeah. So we started April 19th was our first day. Very similar to Wisconsin in that like the South was a lot further ahead. I don't know exactly how many weeks, but we do use different pilots. So I did delay the folks up north a little bit to try to accommodate some of that and get the right timing. We just finished up the Upper Peninsula on the 14th. And data's coming in. I was able to fly twice, my first time, so not much to compare to, but it was definitely very wet. The first day that I flew is when we had kind of historic floodings in a state of emergency, which actually delayed us for about 3 or 4 days. So we were a little behind in the South, but caught up pretty good. Data's coming in. I think it's due tomorrow, so we'll see how everything shook out.
Thanks, Kelly. Nate?
Yeah, very similar. We're getting this really bad split in terms of phenology in Minnesota, where southern Minnesota, most of our lakes were ice out mid-March to early March, and everything in about my latitude here in central Minnesota was ice out a full month to month and a half later. We had ice out, we had lakes still going ice out in the boundary waters this week. So we're just get this really bad phenology split, but we started May 1st and then pretty immediately lost the plane to 100-hour maintenance mark. So I think this morning was day 5 of flying. It's about 10 days in Minnesota. It is not wet here. It's a little wetter than it was last year, but not much. We have not gotten the rain that Wisconsin and Michigan have gotten. So, yeah, things are still pretty dry. But bird numbers, blue and teal are back in Minnesota, which is good. After last year, record low numbers, they settled back in the state this year. So we actually have some birds around. So maybe a little less scrutiny on teal season this year.
Oren, I didn't ask you to, but you guys do the square mile survey, right? How's that looking?
Okay, yeah, we actually, interesting, we just worked with Happett and expanded the 4 square mile survey in Iowa. So we cover 30 some odd counties, and we conduct a 4 square mile survey. In most states, it's refuge staff that do. So we just did that last week. Our conditions we were getting kind of dry, but I would say average. Lots of blue winds, like Nate mentioned, but I haven't crunched the numbers yet.
Perfect. All right, JB. Yeah, I just wanted to put it on, on the agenda, just let folks know how things are going. I know we haven't gotten an update from the people. Oh, Rod, go ahead. You got something?
Yeah, just an update. I don't know if folks have heard, but CWS had canceled a lot of their operational stuff because of the budget cuts that they had, especially around the time of the February flyway meeting. They were just getting that information. But since then, I think they've juggled around budgets and things have come back to the point where they're almost fully funded for field work. But that didn't come in until after they had canceled the half-mile plots in Ontario. So those didn't happen. But from what I hear, like Sean Meyer is up flying the Eastern Waterfowl Survey, and I think they're fully funded right through to Eastern Canada. So they're doing the normal Eastern Waterfowl Survey that informs block duck management, harvest management stuff. So that's going ahead. And same thing, we had a really slow spring in Ontario. So I'm not headed up to flag goose surveys until this coming Sunday, which is a little later than I wanted, but that's the earliest I could get a plane. And then I think we're going to start the Hudson Bay coast around the 3rd or 4th of June for Canada geese. So things are late, and late slow springs usually mean the Cree do really well in the harvest, and anecdotal evidence suggests that they did. They're really cleaning up. So that's all the news I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Rod. Yeah. All right, JB, I just wanted to include that. I see I'm the next one on the list. Just a quick update for folks. If folks have been ordering bands from the Bird Banding Lab, we did get it kicked back to us. Our request was for 10,000 bands, and they only sent us about 7,000 bands, saying that was all that they could fulfill. We had some discussion with them because they said, well, based on your inventory, you should have enough, and this is what we're going to give you. And with our discussion with them, it's like that would make sense if only one operation banded, but this is a statewide banding operation. We got, a dozen different things going on, so we can't all just be working off the same board or the same string. And so they recognized that and said, well, maybe make a request partway through the banding season and we'll see where we're at with capacity for bands. But I just wanted to let you all know that there will be considerably more splitting strings and moving things and doing what we can to accommodate the quota that we have, and just making you all aware, if you haven't had those interactions yet, that's kind of the SOPs that they're doing right now. Warren, I see your hands up.
Taylor, we had the same experience, particularly with our goose bands. We ordered 4,000. They said, we're only going to give you 3,000, even though we put our order in December. And so we did the same thing. We stripped and split up strings, which I really don't like doing. And they said, come back to us with a partial order later on, which everybody, I think we're all in the same situation here. That doesn't really work to order like now for goose banding. So very similar experience, kind of frustrations on our end, and wondering what next year will be like, because we're going to be basically out of bands entirely. So maybe something for the banding committee to consider, whether we need to have some sort of coordinated statement or position on this.
It feels like we somewhat cut our legs out from underneath us at their request to take our inventory all the way down. And then when we take our inventory all the way down, they're like, well, we can't give you anymore. And so it's like, well, geez, it sure would have been nice to have an extra 5,000 sitting in a closet somewhere. Callie?
Yeah, not much to add. You know, we ordered, I think, Orin around the same time frame as you in December. You know, Don is very on it. I know that he, as of maybe last year, got something similar to this, because he started collecting all bands at the end of the season, because there were ones that were left out. So I'm going to pick his brain a little bit more too about what he's doing. It seems like there's a decent relationship there with the BBL. But as far as I know, we got all of our bands that we asked for in Michigan.
Jamie?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that this may just be a 1-year thing, right? Remember, they got low on supply because they were the government shutdown slowed up their ability to get the contract in place with National Band and Tag. So just, you know, I just want to say that that's what I remember from the messaging that we got earlier this year, was that like this, I don't know that we like the sky might not be falling yet, but they're, you know, I think they have a pretty good reason why they're low on stock right now. So let's just not pitchfork the BBL just yet.
Yeah, USGS overall had trouble spending money on anything other than salaries for a while in the first part of this fiscal year. So I'm sure that affected them buying bands.
I agree with Oren, though. I think it would be a good topic for the banding committee, just to at least have a touch point with the bird banding lab to see what things are looking like moving forward and how we should plan accordingly for future orders, if it is a concern or if it's not going to be a concern. So, all right.
It's not the first time we've run into issues like this about getting bands and things from them. So it is a good topic, regardless of how things go forward. Whether their purchasing gets better, it seems like everything's getting harder and harder as time goes on. So it's worth us discussing.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, we don't have the inventory we used to hold on to fall back on, and so now it's just that much more relevant. All right, JP, we're flying through the old agenda. So next is summer flyaway meeting update and discussion. So I'll let you handle that one.
Okay, I'll start for a second. I'm probably turn this mostly over to Oren, but the committee chairs, there's this, it seems like almost everybody now is a chair or co-chair. There's a big chunk of folks who should have gotten an email from me yesterday with your committees, what time you had last fall. Remember, our fall meeting is a hang on for dear life meeting, trying to get through to get stuff to council. It's much abbreviated over the winter meeting. So I need you to look at, the committee chairs kind of look at the times that you had that were available for last year, and just tell me. I know Date's already talked to me. Adam's talked to me. couple of you talked to me that kind of give me updates on what time that you needed or don't need. So think about that, and because I'm trying to get you guys at least a draft agenda out pretty quickly, so folks that need to do their travel early will have that agenda. So Oren, beyond that, what else did you have? Any things that you wanted to throw in there?
I'll just provide folks with an overview, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to address those at any point. So hopefully everyone's received the announcement. We're going to be the third week of September, so it's the latest we've ever had a flyway meeting. So that'll be kind of different. And typically the weather is really nice in Iowa then that time of year, warm days, cool nights. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be on the south end of Cedar Rapids. So it's going to be relatively convenient to drive. It's on the I-80 corridor for many of you. And then also it's 4 miles from Iowa's second largest airport. So consider looking at flights as well if you're, you know, a long distance away in terms of driving. The hotel itself is kind of on the south end of the city. We're kind of in suburbs, a lot of green area around it. So they'll be walking. There won't be a lot of restaurants within walking distance, but driving, you know, you'll have to drive for restaurants, but we'll coordinate that. We are planning a social on Wednesday evening that'll be off-site, and then that's, if the weather cooperates, that's when we'll also do the wiffle ball game. And then lastly, I'll work with Doug to get registration sent out in August. So that's kind of what I had to brief folks on. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the September meeting in Iowa?
And Oren, you told me, I think yesterday, that you can book the room now if you're ready.
Yep, the room blocks open through August 30. So go ahead and reserve your room as soon as you can, because that we have a specific number of rooms we need to meet under that block to reach the price points in our contract. So please reserve your room as soon as you have travel approval.
I guess I'd throw one other thing in there. Oren asked me yesterday when we were talking, the last meeting we had, the Monday night session, which was the agency roundtable. I don't have a vision yet for what we want to do, if we want to do that again this year. I think Oren said there's some difficulty with the hotel in that we cannot bring pizzas into the hotel and do it. But there's still the possibility that we have the room till 8 and we could do something. So as you guys think over the next month, let's think about things, topics, anything that you can think of that might be of value for that Monday night meeting, all the way up to just a revisit of the agency roundtable that we did. I thought that was ended up being one of the best discussions that we've had in a while. So, but think about if there's big topics. I know the HM task force is a big topic. There's a lot of stuff happening. At some point, I talked to Adam earlier today, that at some point we've got to bring you guys in, bring council in on some of the progress that's been made and how it works. But not entirely sure. That's probably a meeting prior to September. So we shall see. But there's potential that that's a big topic that we have to discuss. But if you have other ideas, please let me know. The other things, as for any kind of our early set, our initial sessions or things, if you have speakers or ideas for things for that, let me know, because again, at this point, I don't have a vision for any of that. Struggling a little bit that it's May and we're talking about September, but September will be here next week. So let me know if you have any ideas. Brett looks like he's got some ideas hiding in there. So.
JB, with that, I think our last agenda item is for tech section members.
Okay, one other thing, I guess, before we go to that, as we'll kind of end the meeting with that. June meeting is tough for a lot of us with goose banding and things. Does anybody have anything pressing that would at least be thinking about? If you got topics or things that we need to do in June, let me know. As if not, we may bail on June and come back in July, because it's just for many of us, that's right in the peak of our goose banding season. But if we need it, we'll have it. But be thinking about some topics. And the other thing, I just ask committee chairs, and part of the reason for having this is a chance for you guys to have those speakers that we're trying to shove in at a meeting separate. So if you have some ideas for people that we can have during these discussions, so these monthly discussions, let Taylor or me know, so that Taylor's not out beating the bushes trying to find speakers. If you guys have a whoever, Brett, a Pam Garrettson or whatever that needs to have some time, let's do it during these meetings.
Yeah, I had reached out to Nick Masto because he thought maybe some of the habit stuff, but he wasn't ready yet for that. He didn't have any results. So again, if you guys have any ideas, let me know.
Somebody had their hand up. Jamie, you had your hand.
Yeah, I would enthusiastically vote for not having a June meeting, because we would normally have it on the 17th of June, and Dave Scott and I will be at the Dove Task Force. So you get my vote for not having one.
Mine too.
Yeah, let's see if something critical comes up. Leave it on your schedule, but most likely, unless there's something crisis wise, we'll probably drop it because it's just a hard time for so many. Anything else we've missed, Taylor? Other
I'm
than
just gonna
the code of conduct.
Just comment that Oren did reach out to WMI on my behalf because I didn't hear anything on the SharePoint potential thing. So Oren is still helping me try to track that one down, and so we'll keep folks apprised of any answers that we get.
All right, well, that sounds good. So we just need to have, I guess, tech reps. Everybody else, the meeting is done. If the tech reps can hang in there for a few minutes, we need to have a little chat with all of you guys. And the page goes down to 1 really quickly.